It all started on a quiet evening in a small farming town. Emma had always loved the simplicity of her life. She was a quiet, humble farm girl who spent her days tending crops, caring for animals, and keeping to herself. She wasn't the type to stir trouble. In fact, she avoided it. Her heart was soft, her smile gentle. But in a place where everyone looked the same, Emma stood out. She had married a man of a different race, a good man, a man who loved her more than life itself. His name was Marcus. What most people didn't know was that Marcus was away, serving his country as part of an elite Delta Force team. To Emma, he wasn't just a soldier, he was her anchor, her protector, her everything. But in that small town, not everyone saw it that way. Some of the locals didn't like the fact that Emma had married outside of what they thought was right. They whispered behind her back, threw her judgmental looks in the grocery store, and left hateful notes on her fence. Emma tried to ignore it. She believed in kindness. She believed people could change. She believed staying quiet was the best way to keep the peace. But hatred has a way of growing when it's not confronted. And one night, it boiled over. Emma woke up to the smell of smoke. At first, she thought it was a dream. But when she opened her eyes, the flicker of orange light on her bedroom wall told her it was real. Her heart pounded. She rushed to the window, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Her barn was on fire. The flames were climbing fast, licking at the wood, devouring everything she and Marcus had worked for. And then she heard it, laughter. Outside, in the distance, figures were running. Shadows against the firelight. Voices yelling slurs she'd prayed she'd never hear again. She wanted to scream. She wanted to fight. But she was alone. Completely alone. She ran outside, coughing from the smoke, tears streaming down her face as she tried to grab the water hose. It was useless. The fire was too big, too fast. Her barn collapsed in a shower of sparks. And then, the fire spread to her house. Her home. Every photo, every memory, every piece of her life with Marcus, gone in minutes. Emma fell to her knees in the dirt, sobbing, powerless. Those men, those cowards, drove away laughing while she watched her world turn to ash. When the fire trucks came, it was too late. The sheriff asked questions, but Emma saw the hesitation in his eyes. He knew who did it. Everyone knew. But in that town, those men were untouchable. Emma spent that night sitting on the edge of what used to be her porch, staring at the smoking ruins. And for the first time in her life, she felt real fear. Not for herself, but for what Marcus would do when he found out. Because Marcus loved her fiercely. He was the kind of man who would burn the world down to protect her. And the thing is, Marcus wasn't just any soldier. He was Delta Force. The quiet professional. The guy they send in when things go very, very bad. And when he got the call, when he heard her voice shaking, trying to stay strong, saying, "It's all gone, Marcus, they burned it all," something inside him snapped. He came home 3 days later. No announcement. No warning. Just a black SUV pulling into that dusty road at sunset. Marcus stepped out, wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt, but there was nothing plain about the look in his eyes. This wasn't the easygoing man Emma fell in love with. This was a storm. And that storm was about to hit. He walked up to Emma, knelt in front of her, and wiped the tears from her cheeks with hands that had done things most men couldn't even imagine. He kissed her forehead and whispered, "It's over. I promise you, it's over." She tried to tell him no, tried to tell him to let the law handle it, but Marcus just
gave her that look. The one that said, "You know who I am. You know what I do." The next day, those men were laughing in their usual spot, the local bar, bragging about what they'd done. They didn't even see him walk in. Marcus moved like a shadow, quiet, controlled. But when he spoke, the whole place froze. "Which one of you touched my wife's house?" His voice was calm, almost too calm. They laughed at first. Called him names. Told him to leave. But that laughter died quick when Marcus stepped closer. Eyes locked on theirs like a predator deciding who to take first. No one knows exactly what happened in that bar. Some say Marcus didn't lay a hand on them. Just stared them down, told them things that made their blood run cold. Others say he gave them a taste of what real fear feels like. What we do know is this. Those men left that bar pale as ghosts, and none of them ever came near Emma again. In fact, a few left town entirely. The sheriff, suddenly real interested in pressing charges. Funny how that works when someone like Marcus is watching. Weeks later, Emma and Marcus stood on that same porch, now rebuilt. The fields were green again. The farm animals were back. Life was finding its way to normal. Marcus wrapped his arms around her, kissed her hair, and said, "They thought you were alone. They'll never think that again." Emma closed her eyes and smiled, because he was right. She wasn't just a quiet farm girl anymore. She was the wife of a man who would move heaven and earth for her. And in that, she found her strength. And if there's one thing this story should remind you, it's this. Love isn't just soft words and tender moments. Sometimes, love is fire. Love is protection. Love is standing between the person you cherish and the world that wants to break them. And when you have someone like that in your corner, you are never, ever alone.